The old house on Sycamore Lane creaked under the weight of its own history, its warped wooden floors groaning with every step. Emily had moved in a week ago, drawn by the cheap rent and the promise of solitude. The place was a relic, peeling wallpaper, dusty chandeliers, and a rotary phone in the living room that looked like it hadn't been touched since the 1970s. She hadn't bothered to get it connected. Who used landlines anymore? But every night, at exactly 3:13 a.m., the phone rang. The first night, Emily jolted awake, heart pounding. The shrill mechanical ring cut through the silence like a scream. She stumbled downstairs, bleary-eyed, and picked up the receiver. Nothing but static, thick and hissing, like someone breathing too close to the mic. She slammed it down, unnerved, and unplugged the cord from the wall. No service, no power. It shouldn't be ringing at all. The next night, it rang again. She ignored it at first, burying her head under the pillow. But the sound was relentless, piercing, almost angry. She checked the phone. The cord was still unplugged, the jack dangling uselessly. She ripped the entire phone off the wall, hurling it into a closet. The ringing stopped. She didn't sleep. On the third night, the ringing came from inside the closet. Emily froze, her breath catching in her throat. The sound was muffled but unmistakable. She didn't open the door. She didn't dare. Instead, she shoved a dresser against it and spent the night on the couch, clutching a kitchen knife. The ringing stopped at dawn, as it always did. By the fourth night, she was unraveling. She'd called an electrician, a phone company, even a priest. No one could explain it. The house had no active lines, no hidden wires. The priest blessed the place and left, pale and muttering about restless things. That night Emily sat on the floor staring at the closet. The ringing started, louder now, vibrating through the walls. She swore she heard whispers in the static when she pressed her ear to the door, words like "listen" and "closer." On the fifth night, she couldn't take it anymore. She tore open the closet, the phone sitting innocently on the floor, its black plastic gleaming under the dim bulb. It rang as she stared at it, the sound drilling into her skull. She grabbed it, hands shaking, and lifted the receiver. "Who are you?" she screamed into the static. The static cleared. A voice, low, raspy, not entirely human, answered. "You're home now." The line went dead. The house fell silent. No ringing, no whispers, just a suffocating stillness. Emily dropped the phone, her pulse hammering. She waited, expecting the ringing to start again. It didn't. She didn't sleep. She didn't move. The silence was worse than the ringing. It felt like the house was holding its breath, waiting for her to do something. She locked herself in the bathroom, the knife still in her hand, and stared at the door until sunrise. The sixth night was quiet. Too quiet. Emily sat on the couch, the phone now back on its table. She didn't remember moving it. She watched it, waiting for the ring that never came. Her eyes burned, her nerves frayed. At 3:13 a.m. she braced herself. Nothing. Just silence. Then the lights flickered. The air grew heavy, like a storm was pressing down inside the house. She heard footsteps upstairs, slow, deliberate, dragging something heavy across the floor. The phone didn't ring, but the receiver lifted itself off the cradle, hovering an inch above the table. Emily ran. She didn't look back. She didn't stop until she was miles away, collapsing at a gas station, sobbing as she begged for a ride. The clerk didn't ask questions, just drove her to the nearest motel. She never went back to the house. She never told anyone about the phone, the voice, or the footsteps. But sometimes, in the dead of night, she wakes up to silence, absolute unnatural silence, and feels the house watching her, waiting for her to come home. Because when the phone stops ringing, something else answers.